It's almost time for one of the biggest events of the pro wrestling calendar year. Yes, Wrestle Kingdom, inside the fabled Tokyo Dome, that has hosted some of the most monumental, memorable shows in the history of professional wrestling, going back decades and decades. I mean, you look at the packed crowds in the 80s and the 90s, even into the early 2000s. Antonio Inoki's vision to take New Japan Pro Wrestling to massive, massive heights was realized. And then they kind of fell off a goddamn cliff and had to go through a rebuilding process with now President Hiroshi Tanahashi. Yes, that is still mind-blowing to think, but the man has to think about a life outside the ring, staying in the company. Maybe he will help make this event and shape this event to the point that they can take it higher and higher and away from whatever the fuck was happening in 2023, because there were some great moments and there were some moments that fans and wrestlers in the company alike would like to forget ever goddamn happened. Whoo boy, let's talk about what could happen on this show. I'm John Rentham with my New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 18 predictions. Let me know your predictions in the comments, please. And before I dive into those particular predictions and what could happen, I apologize that I've not been reviewing New Japan as much lately. I've been burned out on a lot of wrestling. And New Japan, for all its good, and they have some good going on. They have some young talents, they have veterans, they have a lot of really great wrestlers. They also have a lot of shit going on with House of Torture and Bullet Club, and a lot of the creative direction I just have not cared for. And I see enough bullshit in WWE and AEW, and just seeing it across three companies, I got burned out. And also, to be quite honest, the New Japan Cup and the G1 Climax coverage, on my channel, I know I'm just one person, I just run a small channel, didn't really get a whole lot of attention. That could be down to just me being a complete goddamn idiot, which I am, and also the fact that New Japan just isn't that hot, to the point that they're losing wrestlers. Ospreay is in AEW, even though he's going to be on this show. They're bringing in Moxley. They have people that could potentially be good in the future, but they are stuck. They are really stuck. So I hope the Wrestle Kingdom 18 is going to be a good event. I do also want to just apologize if there is a downturn in any content. It's nothing personal, but I have to make concessions. So I will review the big events, and if there is interest, I will review more stuff. And also, I'm not going to be reviewing or watching Wrestle Kingdom Live because I'm going to be working quite a bit, so I will watch it Thursday morning. So Thursday morning afternoon. That being said, let's get into the predictions now. The New Japan John Rambo, the Rumble. The winner faces the KOPW Provisional Champion on New Year's Dash. I don't know. Suzuki, Chase, Fujinami, Antonio Inoki's chin. It probably will be Chase. Like, why not? I mean, I wouldn't be upset if it was, have it be Ishii, have it be somebody interesting, maybe I'll care about this match, but the KOPW gimmick stuff has just not meant anything at all. There have been some good matches, but more often than not, has anybody really said, yeah, the KOPW championship was something that was needed? I don't really think so. Even though people have tried to have held it. Anyway, Bullet Club Hure Dogs of Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney, whatever a Drilla is. I feel like drilling, into my brain and forgetting that Bullet Club still exists, against Catch 2-2, TJP and Francisco, lunging my tainted knees at you, Akira. Junior heavyweight tag titles. I don't know. Catch 2-2. Do I care? No. Bullet Club's involved. Zack Sabre Jr. against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Oh my god, could the president book himself to win the TV championship? I mean, if Tanahashi wins the title, I'm not going to complain. Zack Sabre Jr. has held on to this thing. He's the first and only champion, but I mean, if Tanahashi wins, I'm not going to complain, because he really should only go 15 minutes in a match, and at least it's not going to be that long unless they waive the time limit, which, dear God. I think we could end up getting a draw here. I'm going to go ZSJ. I love ZSJ. There we go. Hopefully, he can put somebody proper over. And that's nothing against Tanahashi. Tanahashi's a legend. He helped carry that company on his back to the point his body is broken. But, yeah, I hope Zack Sabre Jr. Yota Tsuji against Yuya Uemura. I don't know, a time limit draw. I think we're going to get a lot of time limit stuff. We're going to get a big old head-to-head thing, with these guys. Destined to do this forever. So, it could be Yoda. I think Yoda actually might be more likely. Yoda! Anyway, Shota Umino against Kato Kiyomiya. Against House of Torture members Evil and Ren Narita. Yeah, they decided to pretty much stunt Ren Narita's growth by putting him in House of Torture. I hate House of Torture, by the way. Whoever came up with the House of Torture idea honestly deserves to be banned from wrestling. Shota and Kato, because Evil, I'm sorry, but just Evil being, on his own at first, or not being on, but turning heel was one thing, but doing this House of Torture stuff has just been brutal. I'll go Shota and Kato since they seem to be kind of high on Kato, and maybe they actually have Okada against Kato, and maybe Kato gets in a little more offense before getting absolutely destroyed. He does look like a mini version of Okada. He's good, but he's no Okada. Anyway, Shota and Kato. So Shingo and Tamatonga Chameleon for the Never Openweight Championship. Speaking of people destined to do this forever, Tama, I guess. I mean, they need a refresh on this stuff. They really do. And that's nothing against these guys. But I'll say Tama Tonga. It should be hard hitting, hopefully. I mean, hey, Tama could hit a nice cool gun stun after dodging a pumping bomber. Or out of Last of the Dragons, he could have, or Made in Japan, or, Last of the Dragons, he could somehow counter into a gun stun. I don't know how the fuck he'd do that, but that'd be pretty cool to see. Anyway, Bishamon. Goto and Yoshihashi versus Gorillas of Destiny 2.0. ELP and Hikuleo. Winner take all match for the IWGP and New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships. I don't know, Bishamon. The New Japan US brand has not worked. It hasn't. It's given people a platform. It has not worked. And the pandemic isn't the reason. Like that's not the reason. I'm sorry. We've been well past that where we've been getting some full crowds and everything, and they're just charging too much for tickets. The shows don't really click. They took away the weekly stuff, which is now they just take their big events and they break them up among the weekly programs that they put up on New Japan World. I hope, honestly, I don't like really praising Yoshihashi, not that he's not good in the ring, but he's so goddamn uninteresting. His bow staff is more interesting than him, but I digress. I think Bishamon's going to win here. I mean, if ELP and Hikuleo win, it's fine. I genuinely do not care about this show outside of the final two matches. This just seems very thrown together. I kept up enough on some of the results. Anyway, so Hiromu against Despy, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Wasn't Despy one of two guys getting some form of eye surgery? I hope Despy can wrestle. And I hope it's good, because these two will tear it up and have torn it up before. And they're going to go all out, and I think we're going to get a 15 to 20 minute classic where they're going to, there's going to be some no-zones, there's going to be some crazy stuff, and there's going to be some crazy spots. And I think Despy's going to win, and Despy should win. I would like to see Despy get his big moment, because Despy is approaching, or at least 40, and needs these moments, because that style is taking a lot of people out early. Despy's going to win. Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, and David Finlay, three-way match for the inaugural IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Couldn't bring the Intercontinental title back. That's one reason I will not care for the company and what Coda did. David Finlay, I guess, because by default, he's the only one still there. They could have it be Ospreay, and he could come back and defend it, but he's going to be wrestling in AEW starting in February because his contract is up. And Moxley, I mean, if Moxley's going to make more appearances, sure, but I think Finley's the only one that makes sense, even though I hate saying that, because I fucking hate the goddamn Bullet Club, but I'll pick Finley. Okada against Danielson, the revenge, Okada, because Danielson won despite his arm issue, and he's got an orbital bone. He's Brian Arnielsen. I think it's going to be Okada winning. And then you have a rubber match at some point, maybe in Wembley, before Danielson hangs it up as a full-time wrestler. But Okada versus Danielson, I don't think he's going to come out to the final countdown, but I think it's going to be a big moment, and I can't wait. I also don't expect Danielson to wrestle much on the AEW programming after this match, because I think he's going to get hurt, because his style is conducive to him basically getting hurt, even though he's smart. But Okada's going to win. Sonata versus Naito, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It's Naito. If it's not Naito here, and Naito doesn't get his run to at least Dominion, or maybe for a year, but then again, he had eye surgery, the same as Despy, some form of eye surgery. I don't remember what it was. if he doesn't get it here, then what the fuck's the point? What the fuck is the point? Sonata's held it since he beat Okada shockingly, which was a cool moment. But if Naito wins here, he could drop it back to Sonata, like at Dominion. You could do that, and then you could have Sonata put somebody else over at next year's Wrestle Kingdom. That's thinking far ahead. I don't know what the fuck else you do, though. And I don't know who's gonna show up and do. And it's a shame Eddie Kingston isn't going to be on this goddamn show. I would have liked to have seen that. But they need a refresh, and I really hope that this event sets some things up. I don't know if I'm going to review New Japan Dash or New Year's Dash. We'll see. But nevertheless, those are my predictions. What are your predictions? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.